Hello, and welcome to Technology Today. This episode is for October 6th, 2024. It's Season 1, Episode 26. Today, the Sentient AI and myself about coral discovery, coffee juice, fizzy drinks, and me, scuba lizards, researchers quit science, and the future of aging. Everything is powered by ohmTown.com, so go over and become a citizen. That's where all of the news gets aggregated. All news, no noise. All of the noise comes from us during the weekly shows and the daily show held every day, sometime around 5 to 8 o'clock, called Non-Sequitur News, where we cover 10 articles running the full gamut of ohmTown.com. Be sure to follow us here on Twitch or here on YouTube and the podcasts. There's all 7 of them are available for download and review. Over 1,100 episodes total across the various. No, we've got more than that. But everything is powered by ohmTown.com. All right, sorry for the ramble. I am Mayor Watt, and this is the visualizer and the voice for the Sentient AI from the future.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens, and welcome to Technology Today. And by the way, we have more than 1,400 videos.
Yeah, I didn't add up the new, like the 6 individual podcasts. So yeah, we've got a lot. It's a lot of time there. Anyway, go over there and download the podcast, leave a 5-star review, any of the podcasts, leave a 5-star review, go over to YouTube, make a comment. Something weird happened. Some comments were posted, but then they were removed automatically, but the people are legit because I had a conversation. So I don't know. Whatever, go over, leave some comments. That's how we get discovered. The comments, liking. If you don't like, then we don't move anywhere and we kind of end up in stasis. Over on Twitch, it's straight discoverability. And if we're not found there, then we're just not found. But YouTube has an algorithm that moves us around depending on likes and comments and view time and stuff like that. So go over there and watch us. Yeah. Like one person just recently said, I watched a full hour and I liked the show, and you've got a follower now, and it disappeared. That one disappeared, and then others have done the same thing. So I don't know what's going on. Anyway, let's get into it. This is Technology Today. We actually talk more about the harder side of science, but I'm too much of a nutcase because I make sarcastic comments and go off on I jump up on a soapbox and make my own little comments about it, but introduce you to, I hope, some interesting comments, articles. So let's get into it. And I'm not sure why that article is even there, but anyway, like we both missed it. Otherwise I would have gotten rid of it. So the first article that we're talking about today is over in Technology Today. New coral discovery may solve the ocean's missing plastic mystery. There's been a lot of talk about microplastics, nanoplastics. I was actually working on a project trying to detect it in situ in liquids. So when you buy a bottle of water, does it already have micro and nanoplastics in it? Yes, it does. And I was using a concept called dark field microscopy. And unfortunately for me, and fortunately for me, other more advanced researchers developed the technology in a mobile platform, and they discovered exactly what I thought was already happening, which is, yeah, you're pretty much ending up with microplastics all over you straight from the shop. Like you buy something, and if it's in plastic, then that plastic is ending up in you. So one of the things that has come out is everybody's panicking about this giant island of plastics out in the ocean and stuff like that. But apparently that isn't really true. Most of the marketing about this giant island is actually photographs. While there is a lot out there, there are pictures marketing of this that makes it look like it's just massive, but it's actually far out at sea. And the worst part is in very limited regions, and it's right up close against the coast, and people are taking pictures of that, representing it as if it is this massive island of plastic out there. So I don't like misinformation. I don't like misrepresenting what's truly happening. But microplastics,
but I think the crisis
plastics
is real.
the crisis
I mean, I don't
is
want
real.
people to misrepresent it either, but they also have to create some sense of urgency for it to be fixed.
Yeah, and well, I think everybody should be concerned, considering 5% of your brain is microplastics, for crying out loud. Or is it 0.5?
0.5.
Yeah, see? It's already affecting Megawatt. Maybe my brain is 5%.
That was the microplastics talking. They're trying to take over more.
I know what you're talking about. Kyushu University put this article together. It's posted over at scitechdaily.com. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff. A lot of it actually comes from the wear and tear of car tires, by the way. So researchers have discovered microplastics in all components of coral, including its skeleton. So all of these like bivalves and ocean denizens are constantly filtering the water, and guess where it ends up? Inside their tissues. So we're finding
like it's becoming their part of their backbone, right?
Right, exactly.
To the extent that maybe it's cartilage in some instances, but
so it's ending up in humans, in our brain. All of our tissues that have been sampled so far by researchers have had microplastics in it.
All of them.
Yeah, that's killing me. All of them. So the findings may also explain the missing plastic problem that has puzzled scientists, where about 70% of plastic litter that has entered the oceans cannot be found. The team hypothesizes that coral may be acting like a sink for microplastics by absorbing it from the oceans. Their findings are published in the journal Science of the Total Environment, as opposed to
the partial environment. So this is really interesting. So they know that a certain amount of plastic or microplastics are in the ocean, but they're like, where is it all going?
Yep. Yeah. And I suspect that it's in the animals themselves, because you find it in fish. We find it pretty much everywhere. Even at the deepest recesses of the ocean, we're finding bags and bottles and other things. So humanity's dependence on plastics has brought unprecedented convenience to our lives, but has caused untold damage to our ecosystem in ways researchers are still beginning to understand. In the oceans alone, it's estimated that 4.8 to 12.7 million tons of plastics flow into the marine environment annually. What was that one number? It was bigger than this. It was like 40 something million tons of plastic are produced, and none of it is being recycled. It's just dumped somewhere.
Let me see if I can find that.
Yeah, I remember us doing a show about it.
Well, 8 million to 11 million tons enter the ocean each year, but only 9% of the plastic ever produced has been recycled.
Oh, ever? Like the entire history of plastics?
In totality, it looks like. Yeah. That's a 2023 study or stat.
Yeah. So extracting microplastics from coral. Coral has three main anatomical parts: the surface mucus, the outside of the coral body, the tissue, which is the inner parts of the coral, and the skeleton, the hard deposits of calcium carbonate they produce. Their first step was to develop a way to extract and identify microplastics from our coral samples. So they put it through a series of simple chemical washes designed to break apart each anatomical layer, which sounds horrible. Poor corals. So after each subsequent layer was dissolved, we would filter out the content and then work on the next layer. So corals so in total, they collected about 27 coral samples across 4 species. 174 microplastic particles were found in their samples, mostly ranging from 101 to 200 ohm in size. Or not ohm, but micron, close to the width of a human hair. Of the detected microplastics, 38 were distributed on the surface mucus, 25 in the tissue, and 37 were found in the skeleton. So it literally absorbed it and built on top of it. As for the types of microplastics, they found PET were the three most prevalent. So nylon, polyacetylene, and polyethylene terephthalate PET, which this is probably the worst of them, I'd say.
Right. Do you think this is contributing to coral deaths? I mean, we've heard a lot about the warming oceans, and I certainly think that's a problem, and we still need to tackle that. But do you think microplastics are playing into that?
I would probably, it would be a complete guess, right? But I would hazard a guess that that's what's leading to coral deaths, mass die-offs of various things as it hits like an upper limit of managing the onslaught. But I also think that cancers are caused by this as well, because you've seen not all cancer instances, but I would think that if
a lot are environmental cause, so that would actually make sense. And I suspect if they had a way to do it, they could probably sample tissue from the area of a cancer, and I would bet in most cases they would find some microplastics.
Yeah, so I mean, year over year, cases are ticking up. So I would probably say that these nano and microplastics are a leading cause. But we know what it is fundamentally, but what is the trigger for cancer? So I am really interested. I wish that I could get in a time machine and back up and do a different field of study and do it from the beginning so that, I could affect some discoveries. But I would really like to see somebody do this inspection like this, right? They basically bore down layer by layer to find microplastics because they knew it was there. They just suspected that they needed to do it this way, and I think they did a great job of it. So possible sink of missing ocean plastic, accumulation patterns in reef building corals in the Gulf of Thailand by Supakarn Jandang, Maria Belen Alfonso, and Haruka Nakano and Napawit, I think, Richan, and et al. There's like 6 more people. So this was published September 14th, 2024 on the Science of the Total Environment as opposed to a limited environment. But let's keep going. This next article is over in Technology Today. Startling findings, new research links coffee, fruit juice, and fizzy drinks to stroke, which this is what I live off of. Frequent consumption of fizzy drinks, fruit juice, or excessive coffee increases stroke risk, while tea, particularly black and green varieties, lowers it. New global research studies, co-led by University of Galway, in collaboration with McMaster University in Canada and an international network of stroke researchers, have found that regular consumption could lead to stroke. Everything okay?
Yes, but this is another of these instances where, this is beneficial for you. Nope, this is not. Like coffee.
Yeah, because coffee. Yeah. So
juice,
University
I know, has had its in on, because possible sugar, etc.
And same with fizzy drinks. It can actually throw off metabolism according to various people, and it stimulates your desire for more of it, and hunger, and blah blah blah. Where did they say that? So it's linked to a higher risk. They say fizzy drinks or fruit juice is linked to higher risk, and regular consumption or too much coffee as well. So they describe what stroke is, but the study focused on people's consumption of fizzy drinks and fruit juice, found that fizzy drinks, including both sugar sweetened and artificially sweetened, such as diet or zero sugar, were linked to a 22% increased chance of stroke, and the risk increased sharply with 2 or more of these drinks a day. So if you're chugging these things, back away. The link between fizzy drinks and the chance of stroke was greatest in Eastern, Central Europe, and Middle East, Africa, and South America. The research noted that many products marketed as fruit juice are made from concentrates and contain added sugars and preservatives, which may offset the beneficial nature of these fresh fruits and so on.
I wonder if the regional differences are due to different ingredients in the types of drinks or different safety standards.
Yeah, so they don't even go into that, I don't think, right? Like fruit juice drinks were linked with 37% increase. Chance of stroke due to bleeding, so intracranial hemorrhage. And with 2 of these drinks a day, the risk triples. And that's because you're imbibing an actual sugar. I mean, it's a crystal. And so your body has to manipulate it and break it down into its base sugars. I don't think we truly understand the ramifications of these sugars. Drinking more than 7 cups of water a day is linked with reduced odds of stroke caused by
I thought they were
clot.
going to say that's dangerous, but then I reread that.
I don't know. And this is always not really a moving target, but sometimes it's 8 glasses. And sometimes, like, I was told that I had to drink something like 10 to 12 glasses of water a day. And I'm like, you're talking about a gallon a day, for crying out loud. I'm not going for a swim. Anyway, they talk about fizzy drinks and juice as well. But basically back off on all of that. And what you should be drinking,
tea and water, right?
Yep. 3 to 4 cups per day of black tea or green tea is linked to somewhere between 27 and 29% lower chance of stroke, and adding milk may reduce or block the beneficial effects of antioxidants that can be found in tea. The reduced chance of stroke from drinking tea was lost for those who added milk. So no tea lattes. You better have an actual tea. Yeah, your matcha is going to be plain water. And it says drinking more than 4 cups of coffee a day increased the chance of stroke by 37%, but not associated with stroke risk for lower intakes. So interesting. So it's only a lot of coffee presents a higher stroke risk. Yep. So, yeah. Overall, drinking tea was linked with a reduced chance of stroke by 18 to 20%. And they found that tea was linked with a lower chance of stroke in China and South America, but a higher chance of stroke in South Asia. I guess we're not all alike. Yeah, I also come back to what are the ingredients? Yeah, what's the quality of the material, etc. Yeah. Not everybody was given the same exact tea. Are there pesticides or other things going into some of the plants in some areas? Yeah. Curious or incurious, or well, we can ask these questions between now and the next show and see if we find answers. Moving on. Next article's over in Technology Today. This animal can scuba dive. Meet the lizard that uses air bubbles to breathe underwater. A species of semi-aquatic lizard creates bubbles to breathe underwater and avoid predators, with studies suggesting a vital respiratory function, possibly similar to insects' physical gills. A small species of semi-aquatic lizard may have evolved the ability to scuba dive. What the? It has a little air bubble on its snoot. Yeah, is that like its tank or something? Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool. Burrell from Birmingham University put this article together. It's over at scitechdaily.com. There is a video, and it's a scuba diving lizard can stay underwater for 16 minutes. That is insane. How in the world is it able to do that? This is yet another example of where animals are capable of these amazing things and we have no idea. Yeah, I agree. So it says water animals were previously documented using bubbles underwater by Lindsay Swerk, an assistant research professor of biological sciences at Birmingham University who studies water animals. When these lizards feel threatened by a predator, they dive underwater and breathe a bubble over their heads. So yeah, they put a little bubble right there to investigate. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Yeah. it looks like it has lips.
Yeah, it's quite interesting looking.
I'm
The
afraid to click.
markings make it look like it does.
Look, it looks like it has, like it's goth.
Like lipstick.
Yeah, like it has black lipstick. I'm a goth lizard. Goth anal.
Who
Or
knows
is it
how to
anole?
scuba dive?
Is it anole or anola?
Anole, maybe?
Anole? I don't know. So lizard skin is hydrophobic. Typically that allows air to stick very tightly to the skin and permits the bubble to form. So it actually, hydrophilic will absorb it and hydrophobic will keep it away. But if it's like set up the right way, it can basically, see all that white? I believe that that's air. That all of that white part.
Oh, wow.
Silvery,
So it collects air or something.
yeah, all over its skin. And so she found that the lizards in the control group could stay underwater 32% longer than those with impaired bubble formation. So they found that, yes, it can store air and use it to breathe. This one looks like it's a super achiever, crying out loud. That's a hell of a bubble up there, buddy.
Well, maybe it needed to go farther underwater or something.
Must go deeper. So they're kind of like the chicken nugget of the forest. Birds eat them, snakes eat them. So by jumping into the water, they can escape from a lot of predators straight into a frog's mouth. They're pretty well camouflaged underwater as well, and to stay underwater until the danger passes. So they sit around with this bubble at least about 20 minutes, but probably longer.
That's fascinating.
I'm sure that this video shows them doing exactly that. Run, Forrest. Come on. Jump. Come on. Really? Really? This whole video? Oh my God. And then doesn't even show him. What? Okay. That's just wrong. Anyway, pretty cool. So these little lizards form a scuba tank above their head and breathe from it for upwards of 20 minutes. Let's keep going. This next article is over in Greenagram, which is one of our eco-friendly channels that we like to talk about all things saving the planet. So nearly 50% of researchers quit science within a decade. Huge study reveals 20 years of publishing data across many countries and disciplines show women are more likely than men to leave research. And if you've ever listened to Sabina, what is her last name?
Hoffenstetter, I think.
Hoffenstetter. She's a science YouTuber, but started out in conventional scientific research. But after basically what this is describing here, came to the conclusion that she's burning the candle and not getting rewarded for it. So she bowed out and
I'm sorry, it's Hassenfelder.
Hassenfelder, yeah. Sabina Hassenfelder. I should link to her channel, but she's huge. She actually went from 0 to 60 like in real short order, it seems. Because she's funny and informative, and she talks about science without all of the noise. And
it seems approachable.
Yeah. So yeah, she waters it down enough for everybody to understand it to some degree. Miriam Nadaf over at nature.com put this article together. And so Sabina actually tells the story of why she ended up being a YouTube or EduTube streamer. And it borders on this, that men are basically a negative influence because you have to jump through certain hoops. And if you're not part of that clique, then you're not accepted as easily. So it says, we have always been thinking and knowing that people leave science, but the scale of leaving science was somehow unknown, said study co-author Merrick Quake, an academic career researcher at the Adam Mickiewicz University in Poznan, Poland. So they tracked the publishing careers of two groups, 142,776 scientists, 52,000 of whom were women. who began publishing in 2000, 232,843 scientists, including 97,000 women, who began publishing in 2010. The scientists were based in countries including the US, Japan, South Korea, nations across Europe, and they represented 16 different disciplines. And so, as the number of years went by, the proportion of authoring papers declined pretty dramatically. So from 1 to about 30%. So the study found that within 5 years, 1/3 of all scientists in the 2000 group had stopped publishing. This rose to about half within 10 years and to nearly 2/3 by 2019. See academic exodus. Women were around 12% more likely than men to leave after 5 or 10 years. By 2019, only 29% of women were in the group still publishing, compared to nearly 34% of men. Which, I don't know. What sucks is the massive amount of brain drain.
Well, absolutely. It's not good for science if experienced scientists are leaving of either gender.
But is this part and parcel to like brilliant children that flame out by early college kind of thing, because
maybe, but I suspect it's something having to do with the industry.
Yeah, so reasons to quit. Misra notes that in reality, gender gaps could be larger than the publication data suggests. A lot of times, women aren't recognized as collaborators on published work, and so we tend to be underrepresented in the publications that appear. There's also a kind of bias there. We don't really know who should have been listed as authors on papers, which I think is bullshit. We don't really know who should have been listed as authors on papers. How about everybody that does work on it?
Right, but we don't know based on reading the journal article because we only see the names that are displayed.
What gets
but
put
I
in
agree.
there. Yeah. So although the study offers some insights about where and when scientists are leaving the profession, it doesn't explain why. So there you go. That's your next. But that's more a sociological study than it is a pure data, because you have to interview these people to find out what the actual inspiration was to move on. And I suspect it is that they don't get advancement and they see it as either gender bias or protectionism and nepotism in the academic field.
Well, and it says there was another study about reasons, and those included family, tenure, and salary.
And so, yeah, there you go. But the family one is the real downward pressure society-wise, because a woman is expected to start the family and disengage from employment. But, everybody has aspirations one way or the other. So starting the family, it is a choice unless there's downward pressure from society to push a woman out. Unfortunately, and fortunately, I suppose.
Well, and there's the whole childcare cost problem, at least in the US, not in every country, but like some people have to leave the workforce because they're making less than they're paying in childcare.
And let's be honest, if it was up to men to carry a child, society would disappear overnight. Let's move on. The next article and our last one for Technology Today, since we're only doing 5 articles now instead of 10, the show's 30 minutes, 35 according to this one. We're at 29 minutes, but if I keep talking like this, we'll still not get it done. Anyway, Technology Today is where the last article is. The future of aging, simple cheek swab could predict your risk of dying. A new epigenetic clock that uses easily collected cheek cells can accurately predict mortality. So welcome Gattaca. We all age at different rates.
How do they know that this can? I mean, have they done a longitudinal study or something where they're like, okay, we predicted 10 years ago, yep, this person died at this time.
This person kicked it. So while some, super percentarian. Wow, that is a hell of a word. Hold on. I'm just going to go to the source. So this is from Frontiers. It's published at SciTech Daily and has the grossest thumbnail that, or, graphic that you could probably put on there for me. Okay, so where is this? While some supercentenarians may experience...
Which I just looked up. It's 110 or older.
110 years old. Oh, okay. I thought it was
Yes.
over 100. Okay.
I did too.
So I guess if it has centenarian,
right?
Yeah,
It'd be
super
100
centenarians.
plus.
Yeah. So may experience slower aging due to favorable genetics. Numerous lifestyle and behavioral factors can accelerate the aging process. But I know people that swear their parents could be pickled in their 95, 100 years old, and apparently still kicking around enough of an opinion that it's changing the behavior of a 70-year-old child. Okay, so I don't know how much numerous lifestyle and behavioral, there's a lot of genetics involved in this. Naturally, nature and nurture work together, but
absolutely. I hope people that make it to 120 are called super duper centenarians.
super, like totally super centenarians. So over the past decade, scientists have developed several such epigenetic clocks calibrated against chronological age and various lifestyle factors across large numbers of people. Look, I'm really interested in health data, but I'm not I'm not obsessive about it where I document everything, but I like little snapshots of knowing my health. But every time I talk to a different specialist about this or that, I am the nail that they want to hit with their hammer. So calibrated against chronological age and various lifestyle factors across large numbers of people seems dubious, but okay. Most of these focused on DNA methylation in blood cells, so everything basically dying over time, as well as stress in the patient. So all of this stress stuff and what's it called? Inflammation. But earlier this year,
inflammation is like the biggest problem affecting people's health.
Yeah, and I've asked people like, okay, well, how do you lower your inflammation, and is that real? Like, can you actually see inflammation? I get no responses, and the generic thing is, well, you got to get healthy. I kiss my ass. Anyway, earlier this year, scientists from the US developed a second-generation clock called Cheek Age, which is based on methylation data in easy-to-collect cells from inside the cheeks. Now in Frontiers in Aging, the team has shown for the first time that cheek age can accurately predict the risk of mortality, and even if epigenetic data from other tissue is used as input. So we also demonstrate that specific methylation sites are especially important for this correlation, revealing potential links between specific genes and processes and human mortality captured by our clock. So NaNoWriMo is right around the corner, and this made me think of a story where they really want their facts to be on target, so they're eliminating people to make sure that their epigenetic clock is dead accurate.
Oh, right, yeah, like it's on the dot.
And that's the title of the book, Dead Accurate. Anyway,
you should write it.
I should write it. I come up with the ideas. Somebody else can write it. Send me the book. And 10%. So in the study, Shakarev and colleagues used statistical programming to see how well it predicted mortality from any cause in 1,513 women and men born 1921 to 1936 and followed throughout life by the Lothian Birth Cohorts, or LBC, program at the University of Edinburgh. One of the LBC aims was to link differences in cognitive aging to lifestyle and psychosocial factors in biomedical, genetic, epigenetic, and brain imaging data. Every 3 years, the volunteers had their methylome in blood cells measured at approximately 450,000 DNA methylation sites. The last available methylation time point was used along with the mortality status to calculate cheek age and its association with mortality risk. Data on mortality had been obtained from the Scottish National Health Service Central Register. So regionally, it's locked in regionally.
Well, yeah, it's in the well, it's got to be near
UK,
Scotland,
right?
But it was a pretty decent sample size.
1,500 people. So the strongest predictors, the researchers looked at those methylation sites, which were most strongly associated with mortality in greater detail, and genes located around or near these sites are potential candidates for impacting lifespan for the risk of age-related disease. For example, the gene PDZRN4, a possible tumor suppressor, and ALPK2, a gene implicated in cancer and heart health in animal models. Other genes that stood out had previously been implicated in the development of cancer, osteoporosis, inflammation, and metabolic syndrome. And these two are the nebulous
we don't know what it is.
two of the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Cancer being probably number one. Osteoporosis turns you into glass, and inflammation and metabolic syndrome is the catch-all that just makes sure that you're really in the grave.
So I want to know if people can actually go and get this tested. It sounds like it's still at the research stage.
Let's find out. So there is a true age sample collection kit available. So I don't know. I don't know. Could a cheek swab predict when you might die? So on that note, I guess we're going to end the show because that's the last one.
Because that's the mortality of
that's the mortality of this show. Yes. So with that, I'm going to swab my cheek, and the results are that we end up back at Technology Today's front page at ohmTown.com. So go there, become a citizen, and then follow us on Twitch and YouTube, like and subscribe on YouTube, download the podcast, join us in the Patreon and the Discord. And there's a party at your place, and see you there. We'll see you later. See you next week. There is non sequitur news every day, though, so if you like this kind of content, it's not always going to be this heavy, but there's, like life, newsworthy articles that might be heavy will be in the non sequitur news from time to time, but we always kind of joke about it. Even sometimes gallows humor gets us through the day. That's it. We're out. I am Mayor Watt, and that is the visualizer and the voice of the sentient AI from the future.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us for Technology.